Hello, Ragers, and welcome back to another episode of Rage It. Today we're going to be taking another look at Entitled Parents. Make sure you smash those like and subscribe buttons. Let's get into it. So, I'm a lifeguard at my local pool, and this happened when I wasn't working, but I got a very detailed recount the next day from another traumatized lifeguard, so I thought I would share. A swimmer came up to one of the lifeguards, LG1, saying, I think there's been an accident in one of your toilets. We aren't allowed to leave poolside while on duty, so he radioed for another lifeguard, LG2, to check it out. And oh my God. Someone had obviously had an awful case of diarrhea. The cubicle was covered in crap, all up the walls, the floor, on the toilet paper dispenser, and in every crevice available. Lifeguard 2 quickly closed the toilet and ran for the manager because he had no idea how to even start cleaning it up. This is where the entitled parent comes in. Lifeguard 1 was watching the pool as he noticed a lady and her kid, maybe 6, walking on the poolside. The most important detail to note here is that the kid has crap running down his legs. The conversation went as follows. Excuse me, your son can't come into the pool like that. Oh no, don't worry. I just need to wash him off and then we'll be leaving. What? I'm just gonna dunk him in. Just get the worst off before he changes. No, you're not. You can use the showers for that. Oh, but this will be so much quicker and we're here. Plus, the showers are gross. They're not. They get cleaned at least twice a day. Pool rules say that if you have diarrhea, you aren't allowed to swim. And have you any idea how unsanitary that is? He'd only be in there a few seconds. What's the big deal? My son isn't going to get anyone sick. At this point, they argued back and forth. All the while, the kid was dripping crap on the floor and looking like death. After a while, the manager had noticed what was happening and came over. The situation was explained, and the entitled mom tried to plead her case to him. So you see, I should be allowed to wash him here. It's communal water. Manager, in a voice that sounded like he was completely over stupid people today. No, leave the pool or I'll be forced to ban you. At this point, the lady finally got the message and left. I guess it just sounded more important coming from a grown man rather than a teenage lifeguard. However, in the end, it wasn't really a win for the lifeguards because they had to clean it all up. One of them threw up because of the smell as well. And by the time she'd left, another toilet mysteriously had another crap on the floor. But whatever, they haven't come back again. This is so gross and disturbing. Not only is this woman entitled because she thinks these people should clean up after her son and be allowed to bathe their son in the pool, she's absolutely disgusting thinking that it's okay to wash her son's crap off in the pool so that other kids and people are now going to swim around in her son's crap. That is just disgusting. Right now, I'm feeling pretty proud of myself for doing something wild. This last weekend, I and my wife decided to visit her family. They live in a much larger city than we do, and we go now and again to break up the monotony. On Saturday, my wife and her sister wanted to go shopping at one of the larger malls in the area. Not wanting to do anything alone, I tagged along. At some point, while listening to their girl talk, I decided to grab a bite. So I told my wife and headed to the food court. At this point, the lunch rush was still going on, so the place was fairly packed. I decided on Chinese food, a place I had been to before, so I trusted that the food was good. So I got in line to wait like anyone else. This particular restaurant was pretty simple. It had 4 cashier lanes and grills behind it where you could watch the cooks make your order while you wait. But being a Chinese place, it took longer than the typical fast food place, so the lines were moving slowly. While waiting, my phone died. I simply forgot to charge it earlier, so I started people watching the crowd to avoid getting bored. Nothing out of the ordinary until I noticed Entitled Dad with two boys a little bit ahead of me in the next line to me. The two boys, maybe around 11 and 9, must have been getting impatient because they would periodically start to screw around or bug Entitled Dad, occasionally pushing each other around or asking when they would have food. Entitled Dad looked like he was growing more agitated by the minute. Every time he had to turn to deal with these two, his face grew redder and redder. Understand, dear reader, that this was a busy, loud area, and they weren't being super loud, so they didn't really attract attention yet. I did, however, have to turn away now and again to avoid being noticed, though. The trouble started when Entitled Dad finally reached his turn. The girl politely did the usual and asked him for his order, but instead of just ordering, Entitled Dad started to complain, mainly about how long he and his two boys were in line for. She did her best to be polite, but he just kept going for a few minutes. By this time, the gentleman behind the trio was also getting annoyed. He noticed me and gestured to Entitled Dad with a, "You gotta be kidding me" look. So I just responded with a shrug. As far as I knew, he wasn't wrong. If Entitled Dad was in such a hurry, why not just get your food and be done with it? Eventually, the girl at the register was able to get the order. I was now second in place in my line and right next to the two kids by this point. I could hear the angry, Entitled Dad go into a tirade about the performance of the restaurant and insist that if it wasn't for his kids wanting it, they would have gone to a better place. About how said Japanese place was better, but because it was currently closed, they had to suffer through this. Entitled Dad even started to insult the poor girl behind the counter. The gentleman behind Entitled Dad and the two boys tried to tell Entitled Dad off, telling him they are just doing their best, but Entitled Dad shot back with the typical, "I'm a paying customer, so I can do what I want" excuse, and kept going. The girl was obviously growing upset, as Entitled Dad was bullying her, and I could see tears start to form in her eyes. Entitled Dad just wouldn't give her a break. The gentleman behind the trio was also looking like he was getting ready to throw punches. At this moment, I thought that I really wanted to do something, but I didn't want to get into a fight, even if I had backup or ended up being backup for someone else. That's when I noticed it. Entitled Dad was wearing cargo shorts, the kind that never seems to fit right. I thought for a second and found an alternative idea. I found myself just reacting, and the whole thing took only a few seconds. I stepped forward in between Entitled Dad and the two kids, grabbed both side loops of the seat of his pants, and yanked as hard as I could. Without stopping, I immediately ran for it. I had to push through a lady in the last line, but I made it. I heard a lot of screaming behind me, but not wanting to get pummeled by an angry Entitled Dad, I didn't even look back. I ran to the other side of the mall, where my wife was still shopping with her sister. I knew my wife enough to predict what stores they would be in. I felt safe enough in a girl's clothing store next to my wife, so after I caught my breath, I just started laughing. My wife asked, "What the hell?" And I just told her I would tell her later. I didn't want to spoil their shopping, so I spent the rest of the time keeping an eye out for an angry, Entitled Dad. I did spot them at one point, now with a blonde lady and a little girl in tow, but that was it. I was lucky enough to avoid them. When we decided to go eat, the lunch rush was pretty much over, and I just had to know. I went back to the Chinese place, and luckily, the young girl was still there, so I purposely waited behind an extra person for a chance to talk. When I got the chance, I asked her what happened to Entitled Dad. She told me that someone yanked his pants down mid-tirade. The guy who did the deed took off, but Entitled Dad couldn't catch him because the gentleman behind Entitled Dad took the opportunity to push Entitled Dad flat on his butt. The gentleman just insisted that he was trying to catch the culprit and missed. LOL. Then Entitled Dad, being the official center of attention, just grumbled for the rest of the time. He got his food, paid, and sat down on the opposite side of the food court somewhere. I wanted to laugh, but just in case, I never told her it was me, who did the pantsing, even though I really wanted to, so I just took my order and joined my wife and her sister for lunch. I told my wife later, and we had a laugh. She scolded me for pulling such a stunt, but was proud of me for finding such a funny method for helping the cashier. Right now, I'm still beaming about it and wanted to share on Reddit. I hate people like this entitled dad. Why are you going to take your frustration and anger out on this girl that's sitting there trying to help you? She didn't do anything to hurt you. She didn't do anything wrong. She's just there trying to do her job. And instead, you're making it difficult and you're belittling her. And you're ruining the experience for everyone else around you. Op did a great job at finding a funny way to take care of this situation. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, make sure you smash those like and subscribe buttons. And if not, let me know why down in the comments so I can make the next video better. I put out new videos every day, so make sure you check out the channel to check out our other content. See you guys tomorrow.